All right, so welcome to this first lesson from Princeton's Introduction to Programming in Python. We'll be covering this free online course, covering the various sections. So this is section 1.1, your first program. Hopefully you have followed the setup guide. Again, we are using a Jupyter to go through this content and build on what was covered in the course already. So in this section, our plan is to lead you into the world of Python programming by taking you through the basic steps required to get a simple program running. The Python system, abbreviated Python, is a collection of applications, not unlike many other applications that you are accustomed to using, such as WordPresses, email programs, web browser. As with any application, you need to be sure that Python is properly installed on a computer. You need a text editor and a terminal application. Your first task is to follow the instructions on installing Python programming environment. So there are two options here, either Python 3 or Python 2. So we will stick with Python 3. So hopefully that is installed. If you are installing it, there are instructions here. Again, for our purposes, we are using Jupyter Lab, which is free and has Python installed already. So we don't have to worry about this. So programming in Python, to program in Python, you need to compose the program by typing it into a file name, say myprogram.py, run or execute it by typing Python myprogram.py in the terminal window. Again, we will do these steps a bit later, but for now we are just getting used to the Python programming language, so we'll not need to execute a program just yet. We are using a Jupyter notebook for now. So composing a Python program is nothing more than a sequence of characters stored in a file whose name has .py extension. To create one, you need to only define that sequence of characters using a text editor. The program Hello World is an example of a complete Python program. We repeat the program in this page to facilitate the following description. The line numbers are shown to make it easy to reference specific lines, but they are not part of the program and should not be in your hello world.py file. So here's the code. For example, import standard IO, write hello world to standard output, and standard IO the write line hello world. So let us do that now. So we will create a Python file in Jupyter Lab. I can click on this plus symbol and go down to Python file. I'm going to rename this to Hello World Py. Rename it. And I'm going to type in the libraries I need, which is standard IO. Copy this text so don't make a mistake. And then copy this as well from the notes, save it, and this is the basic file that we need. How to run this in Jupyter Lab, a bit different to how you run the terminal. In Jupyter Lab, you just say %run and hello world, .py, hit enter, and you get the output hello world. So the program's sole action is to write a message back to the terminal window, which is what we got. Python program consists of statements. Typically, you place each statement on a distinct line, like I've done. So line 1 contains an import statement. That statement tells Python that you intend to use the features defined in the standard IO module that is in a file named sci.py. This file is one that we designed specifically for this book. It defines functions related to reading input and writing output. Having imported standard IO module, you can later call a function that is defined in the module. Line 2 is a blank line. Python ignores blank lines. Programmers use them to separate logical blocks of code. Line 3 contains a comment, which serves to document the program. In Python, a comment begins with hash symbol. Let's go back to our code, the hash symbol. And the hash character extends to the end of the line. Python ignores comments that are present only for human readers for the program. Line 4 is the heart of the program. It is a statement that calls standard IO to write line. a function to write one line with given text on it. Note that we call a function in another module or writing the module name, followed by a period or full stop, followed by the function name. So we have standard IO, the module name, the function, the period function, and then the input we need. Python 2, we're not going to worry about that. Python 3 is the standard to use. So executing a Python program. So once you compose the program, you can run it or execute it. We have done so already in Jupyter Lab. To run a program, the Python compiler translates a Python program into a language that is more suitable for execution on a computer. Then the Python interpreter directs the computer to follow the instructions expressed in that language. To run the program, you type the Python command followed by the name of the file. So in the terminal, you would run this command. In Jupyter Lab, you would use run instead. And the output is the same. For the time being, all of your programs will just be hello world, except with a different sequence of statements. The easiest way to compose such a program is to copy the text into a new file whose name is the program you want, and replace the call standard IO.WriteLine with a different statement or sequence of statements. So it is easy to blur the distinction among editing, compiling, and interpreting programs. You should keep them separate in your mind when you are learning to program to better understand the effects of the errors that are inevitably arise. You can find several examples of errors in Q&A at the end of the section. You can fix or avoid most errors by carefully examining the program as you create it. Some errors known as compile time errors are raised when Python compiles a program because they prevent the compiler from doing the translation. Python reports a compile time error, a syntax error. Other errors known as runtime errors are not raised until the Python interprets the program. For example, if you forgot import standard IO in hello world, then Python will raise a name error at runtime. So we can try that. Let's just remove that, save it, and run this again, Shift Enter, and we get a name error and says this is not defined. So how do we fix that? This is useful to show how to fix a problem. Just type it in again, import standard IO. Save it, and then we can run this file again, Shift Enter, and it works. Inputs and outputs. Typically, we want to provide input to our programs, that is data they can process a result and produce a result. The simplest way to provide input data is illustrated in the user argument.py file. Whenever you run that program, it accepts the command line argument that you type after the program name and writes it back to the terminal part of the message. So for example, if you run this file, it asks for, you can input Alice, and it says, hi Alice, how are you? If you input Bob, it says, hi Bob, how are you? All right, so you can get this file here. I have created it and pasted it there. So this is the file. It has two imports, and IO import sys, stands for system. It accepts a name as a command line argument and writes a message containing it, the name to send output. So we have standard IO.write, write.sysarg1, which is the argument you're receiving, for example, Alice or Bob, and then it outputs that to the terminal. So if we can run that, we can say percent run use argument. Hi Alice, and it says, hi Alice, how are you? Exactly what we get over there. So in user argument.py, let's go back to the file again. The statement import sys tells Python that you wish to use the features defined in sys module. One of these features is argv, is a list of command line arguments which appear after you run this line on the command line, which is delimited by spaces. Section 1.4 describes lists in detail for now. It is sufficient to understand that sysarg1 is the first command line argument you type, so which was Alice. sysarg2 will be the second command line. So if we type Alice and then Bob after that. So if we said, for example, if you type Bob after that, that would be the second argument that you can use in your program. In addition to standard IO write line, it also calls standard IO dot write. And this function is just like .write line, but writes just a string, not a new line character. So we have write and write line. This writes without a new line. This one adds a new line. So that is it for running a file. Getting more information, we encourage you to go to python.org for more information. Certain programming styles, something to take note of. We won't cover this in detail just yet. We're still learning about Python. And there's quite a bit of Q&A, which is useful for you to go through on the site. But that is it for this lesson. Hopefully you enjoyed this walkthrough, and we'll move on to the next walkthrough shortly.